Welcome back to our second season, From Opinion to Insight. We're about to embark on another exciting journey, a topic that feels both ancient and endlessly fascinating. The daily life and, well, surprising realities of ancient Egypt. Forget everything you thought you knew, because our sources today are going to peel back the layers on everything from what they wore and how they looked to the intricate jobs they did and the vibrant music that infused their world, offering you a shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And what's truly striking here is how these seemingly small details, a single ancient dress maybe, or an eye cosmetic, a particular musical instrument, can vividly bring an entire civilization to life. They reveal universal aspects of humanity, ingenuity and daily struggle that resonate even today, offering a richer, more nuanced understanding of a world many centuries removed from our own grand narratives of pharaohs and pyramids.
All right, let's dig into this then. We have a treasure trove of sources that really go beyond the monumental achievements to explore the everyday, the deeply personal, and the surprising realities of life along the Nile. Let's begin our exploration by examining how they dressed, because our sources tell us that in ancient Egypt, clothing was about much, much more than just style.
Now, you'd think it's just about staying cool in the heat, but it was more than that, wasn't it? Clothing was, first and foremost, a signifier. Status, power, rank in society. It told a story. The material, how much fabric, any decoration, it all said something about who you were. And this goes way back.
Speaking of going way back, there's this incredible find mentioned in the sources, the Tarkan dress. This sounds really interesting. Tell us about it.
The Tarkan dress, yes. It's exceptional. Found back in 1913 near Cairo. And the amazing thing is, it's the oldest preserved linen dress in the world. It's not just a piece of fabric. It's a remarkably well-preserved historical artifact, and it rewrites our understanding of early textile technology. It suggests a level of advanced craftsmanship, sophisticated societal organization, much earlier than we previously assumed. Things like intricate weaving, pleating, tailored sleeves.
Yeah.
They'd already mastered this millennia ago. It challenges that old idea that early clothing was purely practical. They clearly had advanced textile skills and an eye for style way back then.
Delving deeper, you said even something as basic as a loincloth could tell a social story.
Absolutely. Our sources reveal that the shenty, which was essentially a loincloth or a skirt-like garment, was truly ubiquitous across ancient Egyptian society. You see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Worn by pharaohs, gods in their depictions, right down to ordinary citizens.
Okay, so everyone wore them.
Everyone. We have vivid wall paintings showing men in these knee-length shenties. But this seemingly simple garment, it wasn't static. It evolved significantly over time. Initially, they were quite basic, just a wrapped cloth, really. But as the Old and Middle Kingdoms progressed into the New Kingdom, they got much more elaborate. Higher social status was clearly shown by details like intricate pleating, using more luxurious fabric, making it longer, sometimes down to the mid-calf or even ankle length for the real elite.
Right. A longer skirt meant higher status.
Exactly. And that stood in stark contrast to the lower classes like farm workers or slaves. They were often depicted naked or wearing just a very simple, often unadorned leather loincloth. Even a fundamental piece of clothing was a powerful, immediate identifier of a person's place in that rigid social structure.
And this focus on practicality but also elegance, that carried over to women's fashion too.
It absolutely did, seamlessly. From the Old Kingdom, the calaseris became a standard, enduring garment for women across different social levels. This was a distinctive tunic-like dress, often depicted as quite tight-fitting over the bust, then flowing gracefully down to the ankles.
And unlike some modern ideas, it covered the bust area.
Yes, importantly, unlike some interpretations, it consistently and fully covered the breast area, reflecting cultural norms of modesty. Beyond that, a versatile linen wraparound cloth, draped elegantly over the body and shoulders, was also incredibly popular, especially later in the New Kingdom. It offered a different silhouette, different movement.
And the material was almost always linen, right?
Overwhelmingly, linen was the prevalent choice for nearly all clothing. The Egyptians were absolute masters at cultivating flax, spinning it into incredibly fine threads, weaving those threads, and then sewing garments with remarkable precision.
Because it was good for the heat.
Exactly. Linen was absolutely ideal for their hot, arid climate. It's incredibly light, highly breathable, remarkably cool against the skin, just practical for daily wear. Now, they did use other materials like leather and animal hides, mainly for durable things like sandals or maybe workers' aprons.
But not papyrus for clothes.
Rarely, if ever. Papyrus was often considered impure due to religious taboos, especially in sacred contexts. And interestingly, wool was also largely avoided for similar religious reasons, particularly in temples and for ritual clothing. It was thought to harbor impurities.
Okay, so as time went on, clothing got more decorative, more fashionable.
Yes, our sources show it evolved significantly, becoming what some describe as more frivolous and fashionable, moving well beyond just functional needs. This meant incorporating increasingly elaborate decorations. Meticulously placed beads, vibrant feathers, intricate embroidery, even delicate metal details, particularly for the elite.
And you mentioned a specific example, the net dress.
Ah, yes, one of the most striking examples. This wasn't made of woven fabric. Instead, it was crafted from thousands upon thousands of tiny, vibrant, cylindrical faience beads.
Faience, that's the blue-green ceramic stuff.
That's the one. Though other colors were possible too. These beads were meticulously strung together, creating this close-fitting, open-work, net-like garment. It would have shimmered with every movement, catching the light, maybe making a subtle, fascinating rustling sound.
And they wore this over another dress.
Typically, yes, over a simple linen dress, for festive occasions and, quite surprisingly to us, even for funerals. So it served a dual purpose in life and death.
But only for the rich, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. As you might guess, these incredibly labor-intensive and costly garments were strictly reserved for the wealthy elite. We even have a fantastic tangible example. The reconstruction of a 7,000-bead dress found in a tomb in Giza back in 1933. It's now in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston.
Wow. 7,000 beads.
Yep. It's believed to have been worn by a young royal woman. It highlights not just the exceptional craftsmanship, but also the immense value and symbolic significance placed on such luxurious garments. It truly shows how they could transform simple materials into real works of art.
So it wasn't just about covering up or showing off wealth.
Not at all. It reveals a profound insight. Clothing was a powerful tool, expressing identity, reinforcing social status, and deeply intertwined with their spiritual beliefs, especially about the afterlife. These elaborate pieces were statements that went beyond the physical. They embodied one's place in the cosmos, preparing them for eternity. It's a reminder that fashion, even in its earliest forms, was a sophisticated language, a language of power, piety, and protection.
Okay, so moving beyond the fabric of their lives, let's explore their vibrant world of beauty and self-expression. You know, many of us associate Cleopatra with lavishness, but our sources show that elaborate beauty rituals were a huge, widespread, and deeply ingrained part of Egyptian life for everyone, not just royalty.
That's absolutely right. Cosmetics were used extensively by both women and men in ancient Egypt, and the evidence goes way back as far as 10,000 BCE.
10,000 BCE, that's amazing.
It is. And when we consider Cleopatra's personal routines, our sources paint a fascinating, almost luxurious picture. She famously bathed in donkey milk, believed to soften and whiten the skin. She used desert sand as a body scrub for exfoliation. For hair removal, a common practice, she used a natural depilatory wax made from sugar and honey.
So natural ingredients mostly.
Mostly natural. They even made soap from olive oil mixed with various ashes and clays. And remember, in their intensely warm, dry climate, keeping skin clean and healthy wasn't just about appearance. It was a true mark of luxury and good hygiene, preventing skin problems and discomfort.
And kohl eyeliner is probably the most iconic Egyptian makeup. What was its main purpose?
What's truly striking here is how their beauty practices were this fascinating mix of hygiene, practical health, and deep spiritual belief, all wrapped up in one product. Kohl was arguably the most famous ancient Egyptian beauty product, universally used to outline and accentuate the eyes, creating that iconic almond-shaped cat eye look we recognize instantly from their art.
And what was it made from?
Typically made from the mineral galena, which is a lead ore. That usually produced a deep, lustrous gray-black color. Sometimes they combined it with malachite, a copper ore, to get a more vibrant green hue.
But you said it wasn't just cosmetic.
Crucially, no, it wasn't merely cosmetic. A groundbreaking 2010 study published in Analytical Chemistry revealed something profound. Far from being just decorative, the lead compounds in coal were found to actually stimulate the production of nitric oxide in human skin cells.
Nitric oxide, what does that do?
Well, that nitric oxide then activated the immune system. It acted like an ancient antiseptic, so it helped prevent or treat common eye infections, which were rampant in the Dusty Nile region with the harsh sun and irritants.
Wow, so it was actually good for their eyes.
In that specific way, yes. And beyond its medicinal properties, coal also served as an effective insect repellent, warding off flies. Culturally, beyond health and aesthetics, Egyptians believed that drawing the Eye of Horus, often symbolized by the coal liner, protected them against evil and sickness. It was like a powerful amulet.
And used by both men and women.
Yes, absolutely. Used by both men and women, showing its universal acceptance and multifaceted significance in their daily lives. It truly was an all-in-one wonder product.
Okay, so eyes covered. What about other makeup? Lipstick.
Yes, their beauty regimen certainly didn't stop at the eyes. Applying color to the lips was also a common practice, particularly for those of higher status. We even have a remarkably well-preserved papyrus fragment, maybe from around 3000 BCE, in the Egyptian Museum in Turin. It strikingly depicts a woman holding a mirror and what clearly looks like lipstick.
3000 BCE, so lipstick is ancient too.
Very ancient. It highlights how long this practice has been part of human self-expression. Colored lips primarily served as a distinct status symbol, mainly for the wealthy elite. Aristocrats went to great lengths, painstakingly mixing plant-based pigments, often red ochre or hematite, with natural resins or animal fats to create vibrant, long-lasting red shades.
And Cleopatra had her own special kind.
Of course she did. Cleopatra, ever the trendsetter, famously favored carmine. That's a deep red pigment derived from crushed cochineal scale insects, a truly ancient form of natural dye.
Okay, so makeup was huge. What about scents, perfume?
Ah, yes. Beyond visible adornment, their world of self-expression extended deeply into scent. The archaeological record is rich with evidence of ancient Egyptian perfumes. We find beautifully crafted alabaster and glass perfume bottles in tombs and excavation sites.
Was it common?
Initially, priests were the earliest perfumers, the guardians of these precious scents. They used perfumes primarily for sacred purposes. Religious rituals, masking odors, elaborate burial rites to preserve and purify the body, and crucially to honor the gods. Specific scents were thought to please different deities.
But it wasn't just for priests forever.
No, over time, perfume's use expanded. It became increasingly popular for daily personal care among the wider population. The Egyptians developed incredibly advanced distillation and extraction techniques using various plants, resins, and oils. Popular ingredients included exotic things like myrrh, saffron, cinnamon, frankincense, even honey for sweetness, and to make it last.
And Cleopatra, I bet she was a big fan.
A renowned and passionate consumer of perfume. Historical accounts and later retellings talk about how her ship sails were literally scented before departure, creating this fragrant wake as she traveled, announcing her presence.
Like in Shakespeare.
Exactly. William Shakespeare famously captured this in Antony and Cleopatra, observing, "Purple the sails, and so perfumed that the winds were lovesick with them." And what's truly remarkable is that scientists have been trying to recreate Cleopatra's signature perfume since 2012. Researchers found jars and flasks with scented residues, suggesting it was a major production hub. It likely produced which old texts describe as spicy, earthy, and musty, with notes of myrrh and cinnamon.
So when we piece all of this together, the coal, the lipstick, the perfumes, it was way more than just looking good, wasn't it?
Absolutely. These ancient beauty practices were clearly deeply intertwined with status, spirituality, and even preventative health. It was a comprehensive approach to self-presentation that reflected their entire worldview. And this attention to sensory experience It extended beyond sight and smell to the very sounds they heard. What's truly striking is that while direct evidence for music among all social strata might be unevenly preserved, instruments don't always last, and tomb depictions focus on the elite. It's widely believed that music permeated every single aspect of ancient Egyptian life, from the highest royalty down to the humblest daily labor.
So music was everywhere.
Our sources consistently highlight that. Music was an integral and profoundly important part of daily life across all social classes. As the Egyptologist Sikora aptly notes, music was everywhere.
It's incredible to imagine, isn't it? We often think of grand temples and silent pharaohs, but picture daily life just filled with a constant, rich soundtrack. What kind of instruments did they have?
They utilized a truly diverse and sophisticated range. While some might remind us of modern instruments conceptually, they often looked and sounded distinctly different, a unique soundscape.
Like what? Strings?
For strings, yes. They developed various harps, differing significantly in size. Small, portable hand harps to immense standing harps, beautifully adorned. They also had lyres, similar to those in Mesopotamia, often played by women. And fascinatingly, sources suggest precursors to the modern guitar.
And how did they sound? Like ours?
Generally, no. These string instruments typically had a more limited range than we're used to. They produced a softer, duller, more resonant, woodier sound, quite unlike the bright metallic sounds of a modern orchestra.
Okay, so strings. What about wind and percussion?
Equally diverse. In the wind family, the nokaki, a type of end-blown flute, is notable because it's still played in Egypt today, a direct sonic link to the past. Made of reed, known for its breathy, haunting tone.
Still played today. Wow.
Yeah. Double oboes were also common instruments, with two pipes played at once, creating a rich, often reedy, polyphonic sound. There was also a dwarf flute, smaller, perhaps simpler wood or reed, held surprisingly low. Its breathy, sharp sound would have cut through, maybe used for calls or energetic melodies.
And percussion. Lots of drums.
Oh, percussion was incredibly popular and omnipresent. Various forms, hand drums of different sizes, tambourines often with cymbals, wooden clappers for sharp rhythmic click, and sistra, sacred rattles, usually bronze, producing a shimmering, jangling sound to ward off evil and please the gods.
So a whole orchestra, basically.
You could say that, but perhaps the most important instrument of all, according to Sikora, might have been the human voice. Singing was a very common practice across all levels of society. Work songs in the fields, complex hymns in the temples.
That really paints a picture of a vibrant, multi-layered soundscape. It definitely challenges that static visual image we have. And here's where it gets really interesting, especially thinking about how they view death. Imagine a funeral that's not sad, but a party.
Exactly. That's a key insight. A remarkably large number of ancient Egyptian song lyrics have survived. On papyrus, pottery shards, tomb walls, dating from about 2500 BCE to 500 BCE. These texts give us an incredibly direct window into their inner world, their emotions, their concerns.
What kind of songs?
A wide array, solemn religious hymns, beautiful evocative love songs, lively songs celebrating festivals, harvests, big events, and, quite fascinatingly, specific funeral songs, as vividly depicted in tomb paintings. These scenes show people gathered around tables piled high with food and drink, with musicians clearly present, playing instruments, singers performing. This aligns perfectly with their unique view of death. They saw it not as an end, but as a glorious continuation of life, a transition to the afterlife.
So, less reason to be sad.
Significantly less reason for sadness or despair. Instead, music and dance were purposefully used to transform these occasions into a festive moment. A celebration of the journey into the Duat, the realm of the dead, ensuring a happy passage for the deceased.
That's a fundamentally different way of looking at it.
It really is. And this brings us to a crucial point often overlooked. Despite all this evidence, depictions, instruments, lyrics, ancient Egyptian music remain surprisingly understudied. Archaeologists, it's noted, have often overlooked this dimension. They prioritize monumental architecture or written texts, creating a blind spot in our understanding.
That seems like a huge missed opportunity.
It is, because it's precisely through understanding their music, its forms, functions, feeling that we can feel closest to the ancient Egyptians. Transcending that vast gap of time and distance, music has this unique ability to let us experience and connect with people from distant pasts in a sensory, emotional way that hieroglyphs and stone monuments alone can't fully provide. It offers a direct line to their joy, their sorrow, their spirituality, their rhythm. It reminds us history is about human experience.
So when we pull back from the pharaohs and pyramids, what does this all mean for the daily grind? Our sources introduce us to a really fascinating world of varied careers and highly specialized skills, essential stuff for making their complex society work. It's easy to assume it was just farmers and priests, but the truth is way richer, isn't it?
Far richer. Everyone in ancient Egypt worked, men and women, in a vast array of roles. While farming was, predictably, the most common job, the Nile Delta's fertility was the backbone. The society supported many unique and lesser-known professions. It shows a truly complex, specialized division of labor that went way beyond just growing food.
Right. What often gets overlooked is just the sheer variety of these roles. It illustrates the incredible complexity, the skills, the contributions that built their society, from the mundane to the mystical.
Exactly. It underscores the sophistication of their social organization. Every single role, no matter how humble or grand, played a vital part in maintaining order, prosperity, and spiritual harmony.
Okay, let's start at the top. The pharaoh, we know that one.
Of course, the most imaginative and widely recognized role, the pharaoh. Ultimate authority, head of state, supreme military leader, highest judge, highest priest. The crucial link between the people and the gods. Immense power, immense responsibility, both earthly and spiritual.
And mostly men, but not always.
Mostly men, yes. But it's important to remember powerful women like Hatshepsut, who reigned as a full pharaoh, and Cleopatra VII, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom. They definitely held that paramount position and left their mark. Moving down the social ladder, but still very elite and essential. The scribe, a truly prestigious job. Highly educated individuals, maybe only 1% of the population, since literacy was rare and valuable.
So they wrote everything down.
Absolutely indispensable, responsible for all official and religious texts, keeping records, composing letters. Basically, the record keepers and bureaucrats of the state. They went through extensive, rigorous training, often for years, mastering the complex hieroglyphic script. Many scribes were also priests, intertwining administrative duties with spiritual roles. Shows how connected religion and daily life were. Their role was critical for the whole civilization.
But there's new research showing their job had some relatable downsides.
That's right.
But before we get there, let's talk about some other jobs, some unsung heroes maybe.
Definitely. Let's delve in some of the less common but incredibly vital or just intriguing professions.
Okay, hit me. What's first?
How about the professional mourner?
Professional mourner, like paid to cry.
Essentially, yes. They weren't just sad relatives. They were hired specifically for funerals to express and perform public grief, known as the weepers. These women and girls conducted elaborate rituals, wailing loudly, tearing at their hair, covering themselves with dust, all to openly display sorrow and guide the community's grief. Their depictions are documented in places like the Rijksmuseum in Leiden. It shows these rituals were essential for a proper send-off.
What else? Something maybe a bit gruesome.
Well, then we have the mummifier,
Yep.
specially trained priests and embalmers. Their tasks were, yes, gruesome, but meticulous and essential for the journey into the afterlife. The process was lengthy, ritualistic. First, removing internal organs except the heart. The heart was the seat of intellect, emotions stayed in the body. The brain was considered less important, usually extracted through the nose with a long, thin hook.
Ugh, okay, then what?
Then the body was dried using natron, a natural salt mix, for about 35-40 days to remove all moisture. After drying, it was meticulously embalmed with oils and resins, perfumed, and finally wrapped in hundreds of meters of linen bandages. The whole thing took about 70 days. Then the mummy went into a sarcophagus in a tomb or pyramid chamber, ready for eternity.
70 days. That's dedication. Moving away from death. Magicians. Were they real?
Magicians, yes. but not stage tricksters. They possessed deep knowledge of spells, rituals, symbolism, ancient medicine, often acted as healers or diviners. Their main role was to control Heka, the ancient Egyptian term for magic power, seen as a divine force in the universe. They created powerful amulets, protective statues enchanted against demons, performed intricate rituals for healing, interpreted prophetic dreams. People even hired them to contact the dead for guidance or calm restless spirits causing trouble. They really stood at the intersection of religion, medicine, and the supernatural.
Fascinating. All right, give me one more surprising one.
Okay, perhaps one of the most unexpected, the baboon trainer.
Baboon trainer. Seriously, what for?
Yeah, sounds strange, right? But baboons were important, often revered as embodiments of Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, the moon. Intriguingly, hieroglyphs and artworks show baboons being used in practical, everyday roles, and even, most strikingly, in roles comparable to modern police dogs. Some depictions show baboons restraining individuals, highlighting their legal and practical utility in keeping order. They were intelligent animals, and the Egyptians clearly recognized and harnessed their capabilities.
Baboons as police dogs. Okay, that's definitely surprising. What about more normal but still important jobs?
A woman hired to breastfeed another woman's child. This wasn't uncommon, especially for wealthier families, stepping in when the mother couldn't or chose not to. Their role was critical for infant survival and health in a time with high mortality rates. Famously, Pharaoh Tutankhamun had a wet nurse named Maya. She's depicted with the young king on her lap, showing that intimate, important bond.
Right, makes sense. And one more vital, everyday job.
Absolutely vital, underscoring the basic necessities of life in a desert climate. The water carrier, an essential but incredibly laborious job. These individuals transported water from the life-giving Nile to homes, workshops, construction sites, often carrying large jars or animal skins filled with water on their shoulders or backs, sometimes over long distances, ensuring a pure supply for drinking, cooking, sanitation. Their daily toil sustained every household and industry.
So the sheer variety is just incredible, from water carriers to magicians to baboon trainers.
Exactly. It illustrates the complexity, the specialized skills, the essential contributions that built their entire society.
Now, let's transition to an intriguing intersection of ancient life. It turns out that even in ancient Egypt, a desk job came with its own set of aches and pains, strikingly similar to what many of us experience today.
A study published just recently, June 2024, in Scientific Reports looked at skeletal remains of scribes, indicates that ancient Egyptian scribes, these meticulous record keepers, suffered from physical complaints, just like modern office workers. Stiff necks, sore shoulders, back pain.
How do they know? From bones?
Yes, from an in-depth analysis of the bones of scribes buried roughly 4,000 years ago. Well, this truly illustrates how repetitive tasks, regardless of the era, leave indelible marks on the body. One major cause identified was the lack of ergonomic seating. Ancient Egypt didn't have chairs designed to protect the spine during long work hours.
So how do they sit?
Sculptures show them sitting on the ground or kneeling, often bending forwards, sometimes quite sharply, to inspect carvings or write on papyrus spread across their laps or low tables. The study looked at 69 male skeletons from Abusir dating 2700-2180 BCE. They identified 30 as scribes or high-ranking officials. These skeletons showed clear signs of degenerative arthritis in their hips, right elbows, shoulders, and thumbs.
From holding the pen and looking down.
Likely, yes. From constantly holding reed pens, craning their necks to listen or look, gazing down at papyrus on their laps, and the flattened ankles. Consistent with years of tailor sitting, that cross-legged position puts pressure on the ankles.
Okay, that makes sense. But the jaw, what about the jaw wounds?
That was perhaps the most surprising and vivid finding. Evidence of an overloaded jaw and arthritis in the temporomandibular joint, strongly suggesting that scribes regularly chewed on their reed pens.
No way, like fidgeting today.
Think about it. The researchers found unique grooves and uneven wear on the front teeth, different from normal chewing patterns, and signs of arthritis in the jaw joint itself, not typical for, say, farmers. This provides a compelling logical explanation for those specific dental wear patterns. It implies a habit, maybe stress, maybe concentration, like we might fiddle with a pen. A wonderfully human, relatable detail about the daily grind of an ancient desk job.
Right, so bringing this all together, what's the big picture? From the oldest dress to sore shoulders and bald priests, we've covered a lot of ground.
History isn't just about the pyramids and battles. It's about how people lived day to day, how they dressed, how they felt about beauty, the music they heard, the jobs they did, even their aches and pains. It makes them feel incredibly real, surprisingly relatable, even across millennia.
Yeah, you definitely get a much more vivid, personal sense of this ancient civilization. It's not just distant figures anymore.
And maybe it makes you think, what about our everyday lives? How will historians thousands of years from now interpret the things we take for granted? Our clothes, our music streaming playlists, our desk jobs, maybe even our headaches recorded in digital health logs. What stories would those details tell about us?